Follow me when the sky starts to change. Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling events of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So grab your steel chair, yell for the table, get put through an experience unlike any other. We are brought to you by MOMG Studios, and this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. How's it going, everybody? Your world champion is here to bring you the Smackdown lowdown on this Friday night fight night. We had our go-home show before the Royal Rumble, and it was a pretty packed show. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there was some good action going on, a few storylines kind of meandering forward and all that, but you know what? I had a pretty good night with it as well. Now, unfortunately, as you guys see, Vash is not here. He had to deal with a brother who was trying to steal his eyes or something. Something about having like eternal eyes with powers. I don't know. Like, I try not to get into family business and all that with my co-host. But as always, we do have the genius of the mat drop this box. Drop, how you doing tonight, buddy? Good. Love to hear it, as always. And as always with you people in the chat, love to hear you guys. Love to hear the chat going on. Now, if you're wondering where our Royal Rumble predictions are, be sure to check out our show, Grappling with the Week. We had our second episode last night where it was all about the Royal Rumble. We talked about Royal Rumbles of the past, Royal Rumble coming up tomorrow, gave our thoughts, predictions, all that stuff. So be sure to check that out after we talk about SmackDown. But we're just going to dive right into the show because, again, it was a pretty packed show. We had some good matches and, again, some storyline things here and there. So let's kind of dive right in with our main event to start off the night. We had Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga taking on LA Knight and Damian Priest. Now, the team of LA Knight and Damian Priest, that seems kind of random. Something that you would see in like a 2K game or whatever. But how did we get here exactly? Well, Damian Priest comes out to kind of cut a promo, his first promo on SmackDown, being like, hey, this is my first time here. I've been always on Raw since I come up, and now I'm ready to kind of kick some ass here on SmackDown. And out comes Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga to basically lay down the law on Damian Priest, being like, look, if you don't lay down, we're going to beat you down and force you down. I just got to say, Jacob Fatu Unleashed is money. Like, they have money with this man, and they need to just run with it and keep it going. But yeah, let's start off with this segment right here, where, you know, we had the promo work, we had the beatdown, we had the LA Knight save. Drop, how'd you feel about all this happening?
I'm very happy when it comes to the overall presentation with Jacob Fatu. This is something that we've been waiting for quite some time because we obviously knew when he was put into the bloodline, he was going to play his little part for however long that they wanted to tell that story. Obviously, it's time to really progress with his character now that Solo pretty much just went off because of that loss that he had with Roman. And it's just nice to really have the audience get like a better feel of Jacob Fatu, because if there's people out there that are watching that seeing Jacob in the indies, a lot of you guys know what he's capable of when it comes to promo work, when it comes to in-ring work. He is a very talented performer, and that's something that I was really curious to see how that was going to bleed into the WWE. And I like how they're giving him the mic, which is something that a lot of people were asking for. And he's also able to just put on a lot of matches. I mean, you have this guy doing certain wrestling moves in the ring that you probably wouldn't expect. And it's really nice for him to really show that where he has a nickname he's going by now. They haven't really said it as much on TV. I'm not sure if it was just something that was said online, but he's like going by the tribal werewolf. I don't think it's gonna lead to anything like Roman or Solo. I just feel like it's pretty much going to be like, you know, being the leader of the wolf pack in a sense, where it's like he's calling the shots like he says in his promos, and he's doing what he wants to do. And I like how he made that well known when he came in contact with Damian Priest. And I also liked the similarities between the two, because these are both guys that are on the streets. So I like how they were really getting into that. And it's just a matchup you didn't really expect when you saw Jacob Fatu's music hit. You would expect, I don't know, someone else like besides like a Jacob Fatu. Because you wouldn't expect, you know, Damian Priest is like first showing on SmackDown outside of what we saw last week was going to be involved with the Bloodline. So that's very interesting. And another thing I do want to add in here is we did get this tag team match set up. The only thing I was very curious about that was not acknowledged backstage, and I'm not sure if it's going to be acknowledged next week or whatever, because this seems to be the game plan of LA Knight right now. I'm not entirely sure what's really going on with him, because it doesn't really seem like he's focused on the US title picture, but Shinsuke was in the background. I don't know if you noticed that, but he was in the background, so maybe that's just going to see something that we see down the line. But I'm very curious to see when LA Knight is going to bring anything up at the Money in the Bank, because Damian Priest was the person who cost him his opportunity to get the Money in the Bank 2 years ago. So I'm very curious if that's going to play into anything, if they ever like get into like a little fight or whatever. It's like, oh, you're the reason why I'm not on top right now, something along the lines of that. I was very curious. It was just very interesting to see them get along like that, you know?
Yeah. Well, they didn't really fully acknowledge like the Money in the Bank thing, but they did at least acknowledge the Royal Rumble, and they just kind of said, "Look, you and I are going to be enemies tomorrow, but tonight let's try to take care of these two first, and then we'll deal with each other at the Rumble." So at least they acknowledged that. But like, yeah, that is something they can maybe play with around later on.
Yeah.
I guess because Damian Priest is a babyface right now, like LA Knight's really not gonna bring it up, at least not yet.
No, not yet.
I guess, but yeah, like I'm glad you brought up the Jacob Fatu like coming out as Damian Priest was giving his, you know, I'm on SmackDown now promo, because like you would expect him to interact with, I mean, who he interacted with in the back, where we see him, you know, talking to Santos Escobar. They kind of had a back and forth and all that, so like that might be a first feud going on with Damian Priest on SmackDown. So that's kind of something along the lines of what you would be expecting from Damian Priest going on to SmackDown. I mean, and also freaking R-Truth is now here on SmackDown.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Like, he thinks it's Raw, which is funny. You know, it's keeping up that shtick. Just, again, truth never change. Never change, buddy. But yeah, like, LA Knight's still involving himself with the Bloodline. Yeah, I would think he would want to keep going for the U.S. title and just be like, okay, you know what? I'm not dealing with you guys, because the more I deal with you guys, the more you guys kind of screw me over, and I want to get my title back. I need to win my title back. I want my title back. So, yeah, you would think he would try to distance himself from all that, but I guess he wants to finish the business, finish the job and all that, and just be done with it. But I don't know. If it was me, I would just be like, all right, you know what? I'm not doing it. I'm not having it.
Yeah,
anymore. I want to focus on my title.
yeah, because if you think about it like that, it's like we've seen it so many times. What else is really gonna be there for
Hmm.
us to really like elevate it to another level? Like when LA Knight had that feud at Roman Reigns and he had that match at that Crown Jewel that one year, and then they had like a little bit more going into the Royal Rumble that year, and then obviously things led to him and AJ at WrestleMania. You would think on the
Hmm.
top of your head, like, everything was done there. He was going off, and that was pretty much like his rise in the summer where he eventually got that title, like his first title in WWE. You would expect it to just stick with that, but it seems like now we're leaning back into that territory. And another thing I want to
Yeah.
throw in there as well is like they did say that the transfer window is closed. I'm not sure if it was meant for today or tomorrow, but it's making me think in the
Hmm.
back of my head. I'm like, it seems like SmackDown got the most out of it. Like I can't really tell you in the back of my head like how many people Raw really got. Like they got Bailey, Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller. I mean, that's not much. It's like three
Yeah.
people compared to
It's
like
really not.
a lot of the hitters that they got on SmackDown.
Hmm.
Which is why one of the many reasons I said, and we'll obviously talk about her more tomorrow too. That's one of the other reasons why I said as well when it comes to this transfer window. You got people returning in the Rumble. You got people making their debut as a WWE superstar. That's why I was like
Hmm.
alluding to, hey, possibly have somebody like a Jordan Grace, or if Matt Cardona does come with the WWE, you could have him on SmackDown or whatever. At least make it fair. That's what I'm trying to say. At least make it fair.
Yeah.
Have new faces, especially if you're trying to build up like Rhea going after a certain person or Tiffany going after a certain person, Cody,
Hmm.
Gunther, etc., so on. So
Yeah.
that's a little tidbit I want to throw in there just with the R-Truth stuff, which is it's a pretty big get for them, but also tells us that
Yeah.
there's I guess it makes sense why they did that stuff with Priest with Pete Dunne on Monday now
Hmm.
when they did that little thing with him and Kaiser. So
Oh, Kaiser.
I guess they're moving away with that now. So now that Truth is there. But yeah,
Hmm.
I thought the tag match was all right. I mean, it didn't really do anything like that crazy to me.
Hmm.
It was I think the best thing about the tag match itself, I would probably have to say, is that it felt fresh when it comes to
Yeah.
like Knight and Priest teaming up against Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga, and then you got Jacob Fatu getting the last laugh. So I'm just
Hmm.
really curious to see where this is going to lead to.
The fact this man Jacob Fatu was able to do that pop-up Samoan drop
That's,
on a guy like Damian Priest is impressive. Like again, I know it's two-way dance and all that stuff, so Damian does his part with it too. But like
yeah,
just the fact that Jacob Fatu was able to do it, and like it didn't look really that clunky at all. It looked really good, you know. So I really like that spot. I also like the spot too near the end of the match where Tama Tonga was going for like that sit down clothesline thing, and he wasn't able to hit it because Damian Priest like grabbed him by the throat to go for the South of Heaven and all that. Like
yeah,
I thought that was a really good spot too
oh
on there.
yeah,
So kudos to Tama Tonga on that one as well. But I mean, again, kudos to Damian Priest for being the other dance partner there. But
oh yeah,
yeah, I mean, the randomness of this 2K tag team and all that, like it was still good. It worked out well, especially when they were going into the match during their entrances and all that. Like both Damian Priest and LA Knight just at the edge outside of the ring saying, all right, you know what? Yeah, battle plan here. We'll deal with each other tomorrow. Right now, we're going to beat them up. Just go right in there and start attacking and all that. But yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, this is just one of those, paint by number WWE tag team matches, which is fine to a point. It's just,
yeah.
it is kind of formulaic at a point. But it was still fine though, It like I didn't sit there bored out of my mind. Like the
No, I
action
didn't.
still was fun,
Yeah,
and I I like too how and this is just a me thing probably because this was my problem with like the Fiend, for example, where he was like no selling a lot, and like Jacob Fatu, he still has like his no sell moments as well, but he still has like human moments as well where he does get knocked down. Like there were a couple times where, it did take a little bit to knock him down, but it didn't take too much. So it was, especially for somebody like Damian Priest, who is a powerhouse. So it's like, okay, I do need to do some big moves, but it's not too many big moves. So like, yeah, I'm gonna have to super kick him. Oh, I'm gonna have to do like this flatliner thing on the announce table and then shove him into the turnbuckle. It's like, okay, yeah, do all of that stuff, and then LA Knight literally launching himself onto Jacob Fatu over the barricade and all that. Like, it was a lot of good spots and a lot of just heavy hitting moves towards the man who needs to take those heavy hitting moves in Jacob Fatu. But again, I like how we're building him up as he's still a competitor. He's not like this unbeatable monster. However, his defense stats are pretty damn up there.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. I agree with that. And that's why I'm like super excited to see like where he's going to take off this year, because it definitely feels like this year is going to be a breakout moment for Jacob Fatu, where he's really going to shine and he's really going to stand on his own. Like, I wouldn't even be so surprised in the slightest if by the end of the year he's completely by himself, just doing his own thing. Like, sure, he could still be close with Tama Tonga and like Tongaloa and all of them, but I just feel like he'll look a lot better on his own. Like that's what I'm just personally waiting for. Like that's just like a me thing, really.
No, I agree. Like I would be fine with them, still being allied and all that, but yeah, have him go into the singles thing, and once Tongaloa is able to, compete again, have him and Tama Tonga go for the tag titles again. Because like we did see Tama Tonga eyeing those titles. Like we did see that. So I don't know if that's the route we go for WrestleMania. I don't personally think so, because I think another team's going to have their tag team WrestleMania moment, but we'll get into that later on. Anything else we want to add for this segment?
Other than that, I mean, that's it, really.
Yeah. I mean, again, like nothing too deep with it. Just, again, a good match, a good segment and all that. And yeah, we're just plodding forward with our Royal Rumble coverage. So we're going to move on to now our WWE title picture. Now, Cody Rhodes was not on the show tonight, which I had mentioned the drop before we started. I'm kind of glad he wasn't, because he kind of did all he needed to before all of this. So, it's fine to have him, not on the show tonight and all that. But Kevin was there, and he was going to have this interview with Joe Tessitore, because Joe Tessitore felt like, okay, you know what? You're right, Kevin. I was not being a fair journalist. So I'm going to give you your time. I'm going to give you your interview, but I like how this was a ruse from Kevin just to get close to get the Winged Eagle back again. Yeah. Like that's just very smart on Kevin's part to be like, you know what? No, I want to keep this title. It's mine now. Give it here. And when he tries to leave, was not expecting this when CM Punk's music hit. So we finally, because like the only interaction we've had with these two was, well, I guess two maybe you could count. There was one moment where, like, it was in the back when, like, Punk first came back. Kevin looks at him, just shakes his head, and walks away. And then there was another moment where Kevin just, like, saw his t-shirts on a table and just knocked them off, which is still hilarious to me. But, yeah, we had a back-and-forth promo here, and, we're planting the seeds for... Oh, my God, yes. I loved every bit of it, from, like, Kevin throwing out, hey, I've main evented multiple WrestleManias, to everything that CM Punk was lashing back out to Kevin with. Like, yeah, it was just really good. A lot of truths being told from both sides and all that. And like, they didn't have to get too personal, angry at each other, or like they didn't have to get too personal, or like too
I guess they did in a way.
Like, they did, yeah, but like not like how Monday was, because like Monday felt like it was very tense on Monday, whereas this one, like, there was some intensity and all that, but like we're just at the beginning stages of that feud. But oh my gosh, it was I was sitting here like, oh, I'm about to have another quiet moment where I look at this, but I'm glad it wasn't too deep. But go ahead, talk to me, Drop. How'd you feel about this segment overall?
I mean, one thing I gotta say overall is I'm honestly glad that you could see Punk and Owens like putting their differences to the side, regardless what party it is, to actually work and have a program with one another, because a lot of the names that was being thrown out there when it came to people that the fans wanted to see CM Punk work with, Kevin Owens was definitely one of those names because of the history they have, Ring of Honor, etc., so on, personal issues, whatever it is, whatever the history is with that. And it was just nice to see that because, you thought coming into this at first, it was just going to be Kevin Owens venting, getting his title back, etc., so on, and that's it. So having CM Punk come out there was kind of like it was like the cherry on the top, because that's the thing I like about it. It's like I mentioned on Grappling of the Week, which that's out, by the way. If you haven't checked it out, be sure to do so. Yep. We did a 2-hour show going over a little bit of news and Royal Rumble predictions. But that's why I mentioned in the predictions that it just seems like a lot of people are pointing fingers at CM Punk during this Royal Rumble buildup. You had Sammy do it. You had Kevin Owens do it. I know there's another name thinking of on the top of my head. I can't really remember it. No, there was another person.
I think it was Drew.
Yeah, Drew. So it's like you have Seth Rollins. So it's like you have all these different people like just pointing fingers at CM Punk, saying he's never main evented a Mania. I did this, I did that. So it almost makes it seem like that he's gonna get his moment, and even when it comes to one of those things where it's like, oh, maybe that's a little bit too predictable. And my answer to that is, it feels like I wouldn't say it's like necessarily predictable, because heading into this Rumble, there's a lot of people you could really choose from to really win the thing. But there's like, it just seems like out of all of the people, they're really pushing towards Punk, where it's like, it's kind of like one of those moments where it's like you're pretty much overcoming like whatever everybody's saying to you. You can't main event a Mania, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's just something I could easily see Punk opening up Monday Night Raw if he wins the Rumble, saying, I had a lot of doubters. I had Sami Zayn saying this. I had Kevin Owens saying that. I had Seth Drew saying this. But look at me now. I got my WrestleMania main event. It just something that feels like they really need to do, because when I'm at work, I talk to my friends about wrestling all the time, and one thing that we all agreed on is you gotta strike. You gotta like hit it now. When it comes to CM Punk getting that WrestleMania main event, until like he continues to age. Yeah, because you never know if he's ever gonna get that moment. Like, you can't have him come back, and out of all the goals that he wants to achieve, you don't do something like that. Like, you gotta capitalize it while it's hot. And what we got on Monday, and possible feuds if he does potentially beat Cody, for like Kevin Owens and stuff. I mean, there's so much to work on the table. Like, he could easily run a program with Roman with that title, possibly at a SummerSlam.
Oh, yeah.
So it's it just makes more sense for me. Like, I'm more of a fan of like when Punk's in like one-on-one feuds, because I like how it gets really personal, and Punk really like gets to the bone of you when he's in the promos, which leads me to like what he said in here. Because you had Kevin Owens say, I went up against Stone. He didn't say Stone Cold or anything like that, but we obviously know I went up against Stone Cold. Me and Sammy main evented against the Usos and won the tag titles. So it's like you had CM Punk's response to Kevin Owens, which WWE never really acknowledged this. The fans have. You see it all the time online when it comes to Kevin Owens' history at the Royal Rumble when it comes to title matches. So it actually shocked me a bit when he was trying to when he was cheering up Kevin, where he was like, you lost 5 title matches at Royal Rumble events, you lost against Logan Paul, and you manipulated your best friends on multiple occasions. And this isn't just Sammy, by the way. This is like with stuff with this is stuff with like Chris Jericho, There's
Yep.
someone else. I can't remember who else it was. I know it's Sam.
Jericho was the first one I thought of when Punk said that. I was
Yeah.
like, oh wait, you're kind of referencing because like that's the thing. Jericho helped KO so much with that title reign and all that.
Yeah. So it's like you're bringing a lot of realism here. So it's like you could say all this shit about me. So if you could dish it, no, you got to take it back too. So I like how that was brought up because it just builds that tension and it leaves the door open for a potential match. I'm not expecting to see CM Punk versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, but I definitely expect to see it in a future program. And I like how that was showcased tonight. And I just loved the unexpected because you didn't hear like any teases online saying, "Oh, CM Punk is gonna be at SmackDown tonight. He's going to be doing this. He's going to be doing that." Like, you didn't see that at all. So it was like a really nice surprise heading in there. And I really liked it. It put like as soon as I saw, like I typed in the chat when I was talking to my friends. I was like, oh my fucking God. Like this completely threw me off guard. I was expecting like Joe Tessitore to get some kind of like, package pile driver, at least hitting one after waiting for so long.
Yeah.
But it's like, or like a typical Cody run in, but this was a nice change.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's the thing is it's like, you kind of expect these people to, be in the area anyways, because the Royal Rumble is literally tomorrow. Yeah. But yeah, I like how this was a surprise and all that. Now, there is one thing I just did not like about this though, and it's something I brought up too before we went on air, and I do want to at least mention it here. I don't like how the fact, because like this has always been my issue with having 2 world titles, because there is another world title that the winner of the Royal Rumble could go towards, and they have barely done anything with anybody being like, well, I'm gonna go after you, Gunther. Like they tried on Monday for a little bit with like Logan Paul being out there, but it's just like I don't like how we're putting it down, because like look who's holding it right now. There's Gunther, who just got off of a 666-day Intercontinental title reign just a year ago. And so he's holding it currently, and you're somewhat burying him a little bit. I don't want to say he's being completely buried, because that would just be... That's just kind of silly to just say that, because he's still putting on really good matches. I mean, hell, I don't know if you saw this. Freaking Dave Meltzer gave Jey Uso versus Gunther 4.5 stars from Saturday Night's Main Event. Like, not saying it was a shit match, but 4.5 out of 5 stars? Are we sure about that, buddy? Are we sure it was? But that's neither here nor there. But it's like, Gunther's a great act to have. He's a fantastic wrestler, great in the ring, great on the mic, all that stuff. But then, like, the other part of it too is like, look at all the work that Seth Rollins put into building up that title, legitimate. I can't even say legitimate. I can't even say the word. Legitimize the title. Oh my gosh, English. There's a clip right there for you. Me trying to say legitimize. Yeah, like it almost craps on all that work that Seth did. Yeah, Chad, make sure you do that.
Alyssa, flip it later.
Oh, please do. Please do and show us. But yeah, I mean and I think that's just my biggest problem right now with the build to the Rumble match itself. Is just like we're putting Gunther and the World Heavyweight title, we're putting that on a lower pedestal than it really should be, because it is an important title, and I just don't like that. That's just my own pet peeve with when it comes to 2 world titles. But like going back into this segment, yeah, I really like this. We're dangling that carrot, kind of like what we did with the whole like, oh, Sammy, you could win the Royal Rumble, and we could main event for the world title. And I'm wondering, because I threw this idea out to a group chat of mine as well. I'm wondering, since Kevin took this title back, I'm wondering if we're gonna do like some sort of story where like somebody does have to actually beat Kevin for it, and what if that person is Sammy, and that's like their little loophole to give us Sammy versus Kevin for the world title at WrestleMania.
Yeah. When it comes to I was thinking about this yesterday. When it comes to like
Mhm.
Sammy's plans, I feel like he's probably going to win the Rumble next year because it's in Saudi Arabia. I just feel like that's the perfect It's like one of the
Ooh.
things I was thinking is the fact
Mhm.
that I'm pretty sure me and you talked about Drew McIntyre more than likely becoming world champion sometime this year. It feels like it's gonna happen.
Mhm.
So it's like I could see it being one of those things where you got Drew McIntyre as the champion, regardless what title he's after.
Yeah.
Obviously there'll be another champion. We don't really know who that is yet. It's kind of really hard to predict who that's going to be because we can't predict the future that far ahead. But
Mhm.
what I was thinking is like you have the Royal Rumble set in Saudi next year, and that's pretty much that's Sammy's turf. So it's like
Yeah.
whenever he goes over there, he gets like these big reactions. So I can easily see him having a moment there where he wins the Royal Rumble, and I'll be completely okay with it. I have nothing against that. I feel like he should have done it
Not at all.
years ago, but that's besides the point. But the main point I'm trying to get at is they could easily have Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. You could tell the story of Drew McIntyre having all these wins over him, and Sammy never got one, and then at Mania it finally happens and he becomes the champion
Mhm.
because they even alluded to that goal of like. I was watching the pre-show today when he was out there with Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, and he was saying how that's been a main goal of his for years. So I could easily see that
Mhm.
be like a WrestleMania match next year, Sammy and Drew for the world title at Mania.
Yeah. Plus, there's a good story to tell there too, because they even this past Raw mentioned, oh, Sammy is 0-11 against Drew.
Yeah,
So you can keep building upon that. Like, oh, Sammy just can't beat Drew. Sammy just can't beat Drew, and then finally at Mania for the big one, because like that's the other thing too. We even got that tease. I think this was like a few months ago. With it was even Drew, I believe, who had told Sammy, "Yeah, you can never win the big one." Like you just can't do that. You're just not world heavyweight champion material and all that. I think it was
yeah,
like leading up to the Gunther match because I think
yeah.
Drew was trying to
He even said that
tease
today
Sammy with
too
it.
at the press conference.
We'll
But
see. There you go.
it's like this whole thing with like just talking about like the whole situation with KO tomorrow with Sammy. Like I'm not really sure
Hmm.
like how that's gonna operate really. Is Sammy gonna come
Yeah,
out there? Is
yeah,
is Randy Orton just gonna be like too hot headed and he's gonna be frustrated where he may see Sammy go out there and thinking that he might try to fuck with him and Sammy might get an RKO from him or whatever, or
ooh,
that's what I'm trying to think of.
yeah,
Or it could be one of those situations where it's probably something I would personally do is just not waste my energy in that match and just focus on the Rumble.
true.
That's
Yeah,
just me
see,
though.
that's where I think it might be going because like I could see like a backstage thing where Kevin goes up to Sam and be like, "Hey, buddy, you got me," and like maybe there's some sort of not like a long talk or but like Sammy just being like, "Look, I have to focus on the Rumble, and you need to focus on just winning."
Yeah,
So it could just be something like that.
yeah,
And because I think Punk tonight got into Kevin's head a little bit
yeah.
about his like 0-5 record in world, even in just title matches too, because like I remember back in like 2016 he faced Dean Ambrose for the IC title and lost at the Rumble.
Yeah, he hasn't had the best like ever since he won that title for the first time and lost it to
Hmm.
Goldberg. He hasn't had the best luck when it comes
No,
to these like world title shots at all.
no, he has not. Oh man, but anything else we need to add for their WWE title picture? And I guess like because this was really not only just like building up for the WWE title, but kind of building up for the Rumble too. Like a couple of things spots here and there about building up the Rumble, but this was mainly the last build we had for it.
Um, other than that though, I mean that's really I have to say
Yeah.
about it. I think what I'm expecting the most out of this match is probably something along the lines where you'll see things you don't normally see on WWE television because they normally like to get
Hmm.
crazy with these ladder matches. So I expect to see a
Yeah.
crossroads from the top of the ladder. I expect to see KO doing a lot of power moves on Cody. I expect a little color in here because it's kind of hard for me to picture this match without any color. Like, I don't expect any color in the tag match or any of the Rumbles, but this match, you have a ladder involved, you're beating your opponent to death so you can get that title. It's hard for me not to see some color in here. And it's not me saying I want color just for the sake of it. It just kind of calls for it when it comes to like a blood feud between both of these guys. And one of the things I do want to give a shout out for, and I'll mention it now, since it does relate to Cody and Kevin Owens, I want to give a shout out to Papa Roach, Even If It Kills Me, because that was a great song for that Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes video package. And that kind of gave me that like that old school feel, because you don't normally get like that feel with a lot of video packages nowadays. It's usually some sort of rap song or whatever the case may be. Like this literally felt like some 2000s like song that you would expect in like a WWE
some sort of
video
My
package
Way thing or something, you know?
Yeah, something like along the lines of that, just to show the intensity of it, which is why I'm expecting to, you know, get what I'm paying with my buck if I was there watching it in person.
Oh yeah, no, I get that too. And like, again, we kind of got Punk even saying, "Hey, you're about to face a very pissed off Cody."
Yeah.
Like, again, still trying to warn Kevin. So yeah, I'm expecting some, and again, we're all pretty much expecting some carnage tomorrow during the WWE title match. So yeah, all right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and move right along to our next match. We got some mid card stuff to talk about, and the first thing we're gonna talk about here is Jimmy Uso, big Jim here, taking on Carmelo Hayes in one-on-one action. And I like how Carmelo still tried to get some heat before the match by calling out Tyrese Halliburton, who was there in the audience.
Hopefully he's not.
So that was cool. I hope not. I'm not gonna lie. I have an expectation and I have a theory of who the celebrity people will be for the Rumble this year. Spoiler alert, they're probably going to be streaming when they get into the Rumble, but that's neither here nor there with that. Oh yeah. People hate that idea, but I'm sorry. I don't care. I like it.
It's funny. Yeah. But it's here's my whole thing with it. I get the comedy behind it, but I can also understand why people would be upset with it, because in a way it's like you're taking spots away from people that should have an opportunity to be in this thing, or maybe a potential person you want to bring back or whatever. So it's like I can understand that criticism of it.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get that. It's just, I think it's fun, so that's why I'm kind of all right with it. But you know what? These two have really great chemistry, and dare I say, Jimmy Uso as a solos competitor, he's cooking a little more than Jay. I'm not gonna lie, he was kind of cooking tonight. Like there's that one top rope like spinning suplex he did to Carmelo, which looked really cool. There was something else. I mean, even Carmelo Hayes, like the splash he did onto Jimmy from like almost halfway across the ring. That thing looked great and all that, and just like the selling Jimmy was doing, and I mean, obviously Carmelo Hayes is really good at the selling job too. But like, yeah, I thought these two cooked tonight.
Oh yeah, they did pretty good. Yeah, they did pretty good for like the match itself. I like how they're having Jimmy, get some time in there to shine, because obviously he's going on his own little arc where he wants to be like Jay. So at least they're giving him like something to do with that. And then the whole thing with Mello, like I think that's what I'm curious with the most, like what the initial plan is, because it's like I said, whenever we have the opportunity to talk about Mello, like even what we did last night, I'm just really curious to see like what's the end goal for Mello. Like Jimmy, obviously, it's like, okay, seeing if he can go out on his own and become a single star like Jay and possibly get a shot at the United States Championship. That I get when it comes to the story they're trying to tell with that. With Melo, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. That's why I was really pushing for either him or Jacob Fatu, like I said last night, to have some good showcase in the Rumble, possibly being there for a little bit, not winning the thing, but at least being there for a good amount of time, because then that could give him some fuel next week on SmackDown to be like, I may have not won the Rumble, but I was the Iron Man, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
Where it's
exactly.
like, I was in there for a good amount of time in the Rumble. I didn't get my ass taken out in like five minutes or so. Like, I was actually able to hang with a lot of the greats in there. I feel like, something like that would be like a good little gift for him. At least show that like there's a little momentum there, just based on how long he's been in the Rumble. Like that's the thing that's the thing I'm curious about the most when it comes to like this Jimmy Uso and Carmelo Hayes story. Because Jimmy Uso could just be, going after whatever opponent on the SmackDown roster to really boost his single stardom. But like Melo, it's kind of hard for me to predict.
Yeah, it's really hard because like that's the thing. When you go back like a few months, we all thought that he was going to be the one to take the U.S. title from LA Knight, but Shinsuke was doing something in Noah, and they wanted to slap the U.S. title on him. Fine, whatever, cool, neat. We're gonna do that, but then we're gonna keep the title on Shinsuke because like we just did this repackage of him, so we really can't have him drop and all that stuff. So it's like, yeah, where does Carmelo Hayes? Because like he just like disappeared from that picture almost, and he's been on. I mean, just for the past few months, he's been on this losing streak, and it's like, again, I think I said this last week too. You keep saying you're him, but you kind of look like a big old dork when you keep losing like this, So it's like you got to start winning. You got to start like showing some sort of momentum going forward. Because like I'm gonna say this now, if Trick Williams ends up being in the Rumble tomorrow, first of all, you're going to be having 65,000 people yelling, "Whoop that Trick." I'm looking forward to that if it happens.
Yeah.
But like just that itself is going to mess with Carmelo Hayes. And it's like, where do you go with his character with all this? Do you do like a humbling route with him, or like do you actually have him start cooking people? I don't know, but because that's the thing. He can keep having all these good matches. He can keep making everybody else look good, but he's got to start looking good. He's got to start getting the momentum, and he's got to start getting the heat back behind him.
I mean, I guess like what Alyssa said in the chat could work. Like have Melo be the Money in the Bank holder this year. Is at least I feel like with that sort of a gimmick, it would work for him because it really fits his character as like that cocky heel who thinks he's all that, where he could use this to cash in his Money in the Bank contract to become a world champion if they decide to head down that direction. Because we can't say it's impossible because it's kind of like a 50-50 chance, but that could be like a good thing for them to do in the future. But it all depends really like how you get there, because I could see him definitely participating in that match, but him winning it's kind of hard for me to say just based on his overall presentation right now.
Yeah. Was he in this past one? Do you remember? I don't.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he was.
I couldn't remember if he was or not. But, we had to tell the story with Drew and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's neither here nor there. I do like how this match ended with, like, a couple cheeky roll-ups and all that. Like, Carmelo rolling up Jimmy, trying to hold the ropes and all that, trying to cheat to win and everything. But then Jimmy reversing, and Jimmy himself kind of cheating. Like, right now with Jimmy cheating, it's kind of Eddie Guerrero-esque, where it's just like, oh, you cheeky bastard, you're holding on to the tights to get that leverage. Oh, you sneaky little devil, you. I don't know. I just liked it. Again, think what you want about roll-up victories and all that stuff, but they can be very effective when done well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I thought these two really cooked, and Jimmy really impressed me tonight. And I was seeing some of the online reactions to the match too, and like a lot of people are giving Jimmy his flowers and everything, and it's kind of leading credence to what their dad is saying on his podcast, being like, give the rest of the year some time, and Jimmy can be a big solo star. And you know what? After tonight, I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah, there's definitely some potential there. It just depends on like how we get there. Like I could definitely see him getting a shot at Shinsuke Nakamura if that is the end goal. And if it was up to me, I mean, hey, give it to him, because it's like, what's Shinsuke really doing with the belt right now?
He's just lurking in the back. That's all he's doing. Just lurking around outside of catering, being like, who's my next target? Is it you? Jimmy, are you going to come after me? Because I got a nice katana with your name on it, and it's called my knee to your face. With a good old Kinshasa. Man, all right. Well, we're going to move on ahead to our next little mid-card story here. We had Chelsea Green taking on Michin for her United States Championship. Now, first and foremost, gotta pledge my allegiance to my women's United States champion and all that for all her hard work and protecting the United States from all the tyranny and all that. Even though you're Canadian, I'll take that. I'll take my Canadian as my U.S. champion. The match was fine, I thought. We actually had Chelsea Green doing more than being a chicken shit heel and all that. Ends up leading to Piper pulling out Chelsea after Michin hits the Eat Defeat. And luckily, Michin had B-Fab out there to kind of even the odds a little bit. We get a little bit of a chase scene, and then Chelsea gets disqualified by using the kendo stick that Michin brought out. So she gets to hold on to the title just a little bit longer. Now, I was really hoping that we would get a nice, conclusive, final fight between these two. Like, this would just be it. We can move on. Chelsea can move on with somebody else, play with another playground and all that. But now, we're going to continue this on. It's going to keep moving forward because, technically, Michin did win. She just didn't get the title. But I don't know, man. I'm kind of ready to move on from this feud.
I am too, because sorry, I was just texting my girlfriend.
You're fine.
But yeah, I am too, because it's like you could only go so long with Chelsea Green and Michin. It's like, what are we really trying to accomplish here? Because it's like, we understood that we had that match at Saturday night's main event where we had both of them competing for the U.S. title. So it's like, I understood that completely. And, okay, you get another match out of them, that's fine. But it's like, having Michin get the victory over a DQ almost tells me it's like, we're kind of prolonging it even further, where she's going to get another shot, even though she did say in her promo that this is her final crack at the title. So it just tells me, like, okay, we're going to extend this. It's going to go a little bit further than she anticipated. She was probably expecting her to get the win tonight, which is kind of how it felt like at first heading in here, like in the match, because a lot of the spots that Chelsea normally gets away with, she wasn't getting away with them because Michin and B-Fab had like a counter for whatever Chelsea was trying to do.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's best to just move on from this, because the whole point of this relationship, the whole point of this championship is to give opportunities to not just two ladies. Like, there's a whole mid-card division on SmackDown that you could easily work with. Like, B-Fab has this whole thing going on with Michin right now. How come B-Fab hasn't had a crack at the title yet? That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, she's gotten into Chelsea's face, saying a whole bunch of things. How come she hasn't had an opportunity, like, outside of Michin? So that's what I'm really curious here, is like, besides like B-Fab and Michin, it's like you could have her work with like I mean, I would have to go back and really look at the SmackDown roster to really give you an answer, but it's like there's more than enough people that you could easily put Chelsea Green in a program with to really make that title feel special, which is why as of this moment, even though Lyra hasn't done as much with the title yet. And this isn't me pointing any fingers, because there really isn't no reason to, because she hasn't had her first feud with. I mean, it seems like it's going to be Ivy, which is nice. But the reason why I brought up Lyra, even though her title reign hasn't taken off yet, it almost tells me that that's going to feel like a proper mid-card title for the ladies, where it's going to feel special, especially if you have like Lyra and Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. You're automatically elevating that title to another level straight off the bat right there. So that almost tells me that's going to be the workhorse title to really elevate the ladies in that division on Raw compared to what we're doing here, because we can't just keep doing Chelsea Green, Michin, Chelsea Green, Michin, Chelsea Green, B-Fab, Chelsea Green, Michin, B-Fab. Something happened between her and Piper, Chelsea Green and Piper, and then a fatal four-way. It's like, we can't keep doing that. That's why you have Zelina on here, because we didn't see Zelina. It was officially confirmed to head up on SmackDown. I forgot. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but that's somebody. Well, she did have a moment with Tiffany, so I guess she has her eyes set on something else. But it's like, even outside of that, that's something that you would easily have like Zelina push towards, to give her an opportunity to take that title off of Chelsea Green, which I probably would, because I can see her doing a lot of things with that title and helping it feel special, because, you know, she's done a lot in these past couple years. And I felt like it's only right to give her some sort of reward for all of her hard work. But Chelsea Green, you know, she could really do a lot of things outside of the little gimmick that she's doing right now, which is kind of what I was expecting with these matches. Like, when it comes to she could still do the whole stick that she has that got her over to begin with, but I want to see, you know, her fighting champion spirit within the match itself, besides getting what we normally do.
And that's kind of what I liked about tonight, because like you kind of got a little bit more of that, like kind of saying, okay, you know what, kind of reminding yourself, oh yeah, Chelsea can kind of go a bit, you know, she's more than just the gimmick. And that's my thing, because like I do really like the gimmick. I think it works really well. Like, Chelsea's really good with it as well. But like, it's kind of the same issue that people, I feel like, we're having with Liv and Rhea. It's like, okay, Liv's doing some really great character work, but have her work with somebody else and work off of somebody else to really like elevate that character and all that. And like, we're nearing that. We're basically at that level right now with Chelsea and Michin, because like, even before the U.S. title was in play, they were feuding. You know, you had the whole dumpster match, and then like, we let that cool down for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they were both in the finals of the U.S. title. So it's like, they were in the finals for that. They had like 2 or 3 matches already for the U.S. title.
Yeah,
and then you had this one. And this one ended in DQ. So it's like, why are we prolonging this? Why are we still going with this? Like, what is the end goal of this? Is the end goal actually Michin getting that U.S. title? Which, if it is, cool, great. Why not do it tonight? You know? And if it's not, then why do we keep going with it then? You know? Again, have Chelsea work off of somebody else, you know? Is it the case that they don't have anybody on the roster? Because, like, I mean, again, you said it perfectly. You try to think of somebody else, and there really isn't that many people on the SmackDown Women's roster that you could be like, oh yeah, they could do it. And there's the other thing too. So that's why, like, that's why, like, I'll say it right now, and we said it on the show too. Jordynne Grace, if she, you know, she's signed with WWE, don't have her in NXT, because, you know, she's already kind of done the NXT thing, and plus with them doing a lot of crossover with TNA, it seems kind of counterproductive to have her, you know, still interacting with those people. Have her go on the main roster, have her be on SmackDown, and have her get that U.S. title, because I can already picture something right now where Jordynne Grace wins that, and then she pulls a John Cena and does an open challenge.
That's someone I could easily see elevating the title, like, right off the bat. Like as soon as she
Mm-hmm.
wins it off at Chelsea Green, she's going to be putting on a lot of great matches. And keep in mind here, if you are new to the show, we don't just focus on matches here because story
Yeah.
is a very big part of our podcast when it comes to a lot of the things that we take in when we watch Raw, SmackDown, and all these pay-per-views and discuss all these different kinds of news. Just keep that in mind. We're not matchaholics. But when it comes to like the overall presentation of the Women's United States Championship, Watkins, I could easily see something like that with Jordan Grace, because if you think about it like this, Jordan Grace was in TNA before, Chelsea Green was in TNA before. They both have history there. You could easily bring that up. You don't have to sugarcoat it or anything because they have a partnership, so you can bring up a lot of history of stuff that happened in TNA that you could really build to be like an interesting story between the both of them. I mean, fuck, I would even make it like a WrestleMania match because don't get me wrong, I don't mind doing like multi-woman, multi-man matches, ladder matches when it comes to stuff like this. But if I'm being honest, unless it calls for like a triple threat or fatal four or whatever, I'm big on the one-on-one matches. And if you could make a good enough story, it doesn't have to be like super crazy or anything, but if you could make like a good enough story where you have like Chelsea Green and Jordan Grace going at it and having, having a good match for that United States Championship, and then having Jordan Grace elevate it to levels that I'm pretty sure she would treat as a world title, because I'm just picturing in my head right now, she's going to be giving us banger matches. You're going to get some good story there. And it's just something that I could really see turning into probably one of the highlights when you tune into SmackDown. Holy shit, Jordan Grace is going up against somebody like, hypothetically, you could revisit that history with Naomi if Naomi goes heel. And after that whole stuff is done of her, Bianca, and Jade, you got another history you could tap into between between Naomi and Jordan Grace. So it's like a Jordan Grace, I feel like it's either Jordan Grace or Zelina that might be the best possible options for that title.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree. Like, I can, again,
Jordan Grace puts on fantastic matches. Like, holy shit, she's great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, say what you want about Tessa Blanchard, you are more than likely right about what you say about her. Yeah. But like, those two had a banger match at Genesis a couple weeks ago. Like that one, I would highly recommend going back to watch any of you guys. Especially for the crowd chants and all that. But like, yeah, Jordan Grace. I mean, again, I can picture. It's one of those things where it's like the title just fits the person, and that U.S. title just fits Jordan Grace so freaking well, and it's something I really like, and it sounds like that's something that the team would really like as well. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully that comes sooner rather than later and all that stuff. But chat, hopefully you guys are looking forward to something similar like that. If not, hey, let us know in the chat or in the comments if you're watching the VOD, all that wonderful fun stuff. So we're going to move right along to our tag team division matches. We had our Motor City Machine Guns, our number one contenders, and Los Garza taking on DIY and Pretty Deadly. Now, match was pretty good. Standard, again, like I said it before, and I'll keep saying it. A lot of the WWE tag team matches, they're pretty standard, paint by numbers and all that. But this one was really good. It had a good story going on with it. A lot of potential stories going forward with it. Now, a couple backstage segments, mainly from like basically sandwiching the match here. So we had Los Garza getting hyped up by Santos Escobar. Santos, I guess, also confirmed himself for the Rumble tomorrow, so that's cool and all that. And the story we're telling here is basically, okay, they have to claw their way to get their opportunities. Santos has to go through 29 other men tomorrow, where Los Garza, they have to team with Motor City Machine Guns tonight, and then hopefully, gain some momentum going forward and all that. And I like how they're not too buddy-buddy with Motor City Machine Guns. So we're still keeping them relatively heel for the most part. And yeah, I just think that's a really nice touch. And again, with like Pretty Deadly coming out, being interrupted by DIY, we're still continuing that little story with Pretty Deadly basically, being the stooges for DIY. But the match itself, again, like it was pretty good. Because again, Motor City Machine Guns are really good. DIY, really good. Everyone just really, really good. And I like, too, the story within the match of like, okay, DIY don't really want to push themselves right now. They want to have Pretty Deadly do all the work. And that way they can, be more fresh for tomorrow, not be injured or tired or anything for their 2 out of 3 falls match tomorrow night. And it ends up getting to a boiling point where like Los Garza end up having a miscommunication with Motor City Machine Guns, and they just leave. Like they just straight up leave the match, and you're already looking at it like, okay. I think it was for me at this moment. I saw the match and I'm like, okay, I see where we're going with this, and it was exactly what happened with Motor City Machine Guns still being able to pull off the win. But I didn't think it would be this way, where DIY like take out Pretty Deadly and all that, and that's how we get to the end of the match. But like, let's start with the match first. Drop. What do you think of the match?
Pretty much what you said. It was it was a standard match for the tag division. I mean, what I'm personally looking forward to is the banger that Motor City Machine Guns and DIY are going to put on tomorrow in front of 65,000 people for a 2 out of 3 falls match, which I'm hoping gets both of them over even more, because you got 2 tag teams going in there. You got the DIY special team match when it comes to 2 out of 3 falls. So that's what I'm getting into more. But like I said, what I really focused on the most is you could really tell that they're trying to build something between Pretty Deadly and DIY, which I'm honestly predicting them to take off the tag team titles off of them at the end of the day. I mean, for all we know, this could possibly be Pretty Deadly winning the titles off of DIY at like WrestleMania, the Elimination Chamber, etc., so on. Possibly even throw in like a whole bunch of tag teams, or maybe Pretty Deadly, DIY, and Street Profits at Mania for the titles. That's what I'm seeing right now. It's like this is a slow burner for a Pretty Deadly face turn. Because you look at it like this, they're treating them like crap. They're trying to get sympathy from the audience when it comes to how DIY is treating them, and it almost feels like they're gonna go down that direction, which is gonna be pretty interesting to see how that gets over, because as long as I've seen them on NXT, they've always been heels. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see like how they interact with the crowd like that. But yes, I like how Los Garza are like sticking to who they are, and they walked out of the match and everything, because even pairing them with the Motor City Machine Guns didn't really make any sense to begin with, because it's like, if you think about it like this, I mean, they got blamed for like an assault that was going on and everything. So already with that right off the bat, it's kind of like, we really want to piss these guys off even more. So I can't really blame them for really walking out, because it's like a heel and a face teaming up. Can they coexist? Like, obviously you got your answer right there. They cannot coexist. So
nope.
The real meat and the potatoes here really was just the DIY and Pretty Deadly story. And I also think, even though if it wasn't pretty telling already, but more than likely DIY is going over tomorrow. You got Carmelo, you got Ciampa getting pinned in the match.
I love how, because like at the end of the match and backstage and all that, I love how Pretty Deadly were just like, you know what, Pretty Deadly didn't lose the match, DIY did. And Ciampa got pinned. Like, I love that little aspect of it, because like Ciampa's always been the one to like keep putting Pretty Deadly down, keep like grinding his foot on them, keep making them, under his armpit and all that. It's just like, nah, dude, you're being a bully and all that. And even Gargano trying to play the nice guy and all this. Like, Pretty Deadly were having none of it. And I was just so proud of those guys. And I'm so happy that, like, we're not prolonging that story either. Like, they stood up to DIY and we're just like, we're done with this. Basically, we'll earn our shot the right way and all that, not trying to be your gophers and all that. So I really like how we're doing that, because you're showing that your superstars are a lot smarter than what they used to be. Because, like, if this was, again, I know we keep harping about the old regime, but we spent X amount of years with that old fart, and that's being very nice calling him that.
Yeah.
Like, we spent years of his booking and his storytelling and all that for it, like, all of his superstars to be stupid and not think for themselves. Went through years of that, and finally we're getting people that actually think for themselves,
Yep,
actually, like, have
Titantron.
motivations. Yeah, exactly. Now let's just fix the music and then we'll be all set and all that. But, like, yeah, and you know what? I would agree, Alyssa. Tag team wrestling is getting some good stories finally. I know we spent months not really having much of anything, especially on PLEs. Now Raw's division still needs some work, but they're getting there. But man, it feels so good to have tag team stories going on right now, and even just tag team wrestling, because, like, all these guys can go. Like, we had the moment too where it's just like, oh, we had the triple suicida dives and all that. That looked really good and all that. And oh, there was one move. There was one move that Los Garza did that I thought was really cool. It was this one where I think it was, yeah, I think it was Garza. He had gone off the ropes and Humberto lifted him up and, like, flipped him over him, and Garza, like, kicked both of, I think it was Pretty Dead. Like, so he basically, like, drop kicked both of them at the same time. I don't know. It looked really cool and all that. Like, Los Garza keep digging into their bag of tricks and pulling out more things. And we've said it time and time again. Motor City Machine Guns have kind of been pushing this tag team division to get better and to do more things and to keep innovating everybody's offense. It's just, I love to see it, and I'm really looking forward to this 2 out of 3 falls match, because these two teams, DIY and Motor City Machine Guns, they are gonna cook a fine ass meal.
Oh yeah.
DIY is still probably gonna win, and that's a spoiler for our our little prediction show we had last night, but I still think they're gonna pull it out, especially after tonight. But man, I am salivating for it. I cannot wait for that match.
Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to that whenever it happens, especially when they're in front of a big audience. Like, if you really want to get these guys out there, you really want people to give a fuck about them and they're on TV, that's one way to do it, especially when you're around a large crowd like that. And if the match gets, like, intense, which I expect it to be, because it's 2 out of 3 falls. It's not like they're just stuck in the ring. They can go wherever the hell they want.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Like, the Rumble tomorrow is just the whole night's gonna be great. Oh man. But from one tag team division to another, we're gonna move on now to our women's tag team division, and they were in singles action tonight. We had Naomi taking on Liv Morgan. So I'm glad this got time, because, and just like what I said earlier, Liv has needed somebody else to kind of play off of besides Rhea and all that. And I'm glad they're moving on to the tag team division, because, like, Liv and Raquel, they have unfinished business with those tag team titles, because, like, they had to drop those things because of injuries and all that. So yeah, they should be going for these titles. They probably should have gone for them sooner, but, had to deal with Rhea and the world title and all that. So Naomi and Liv taking on each other. These two have good chemistry together. I really like this, and especially Liv Morgan. Like, I've said it before, but her in-ring stuff has really gotten better through time and all that. It just, like, with her timing, her selling. There are a couple moves too, like this. There was a code breaker that she did that was really gnarly. And just a couple other things too I saw as the match was going on. But again, I'm just glad that they got time to actually do something, because, again, this could have been this could have easily been a bathroom break match for a lot of people, and it probably was for some of you out there. But for me, I really liked it. I thought it was really good. Raquel did try to interfere at one point near the end of the match, but Bianca easily took her out because Raquel is the worst bodyguard you could have on your payroll. So yeah, that ended up being a thing. And again, we had like this roll up thing again that happened. Hell, the same thing happened to Naomi's husband earlier on, and Naomi was able to pull out the win this time, very similar to what her husband did. But you know, Liv and Raquel got their licks back. They got their heat back by doing their okay. How do you feel about Liv and Raquel's double team move with like Raquel basically powerbombing Liv onto their opponents? How do you feel about their tag team finisher, I guess?
I think it's pretty cool. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's pretty cool. I like how they have like some sort of creative thing going on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nice.
And also kind of fits. It kind of fits Liv's crazy character a bit, because like she again, and I think it was around the time too she was kind of getting into that crazy mindset because of the whole Ronda Rousey thing when she was champion and all that. But like, yeah, it kind of fits into that aspect of it where it's just like, yeah, you use me as the weapon. I don't mind being the weapon. Use me as a chair or a kendo stick or a table, whatever have you. I will be the weapon. I will be the finisher, and it'll be great and all that. So I really appreciate that. And I mean, this could be leading towards Liv and Raquel getting the tag titles back. I'm assuming so, but I'm also surprised that we haven't really been mentioning Jade Cargill a lot. Now, Bianca and Naomi, they had a pre-match promo where they did talk about the Rumble tomorrow, and they were just like, "Oh, well, you know, if we're in the Rumble, if we face off against each other, we'll see who the better person is, or we'll both win the Rumble, and we'll both go to WrestleMania, and we'll both point at the sign and be like, haha, look at us, we're going to Mania." That ain't gonna happen. Sorry, girls. That's just not gonna happen this year, at least. Um, but yeah, they still haven't really been mentioning Jade at all.
Yeah.
During these interviews and all that. So like what do you think about that little aspect of the story? Like, because I've seen a lot of criticism going on, like how the whole Jade stuff has kind of cooled down. Do you think it's cooled down enough where you don't care, or do you think it's cooled down enough to where like when Jade comes back it's gonna be like this explosive heat?
I think they're setting up something for tomorrow, because I definitely expect Jade to be in the Royal Rumble, because we got reports about her being at the Performance Center, working out, doing this or that. And if you were to say, okay, there might be a surprise there, Jade Cargill definitely fits that build. And that's why when we were talking about like the whole entire storyline that's going on with them for like weeks on end,
Mm-hmm.
I've always said, like, I always found it weird that that Jade would be mad at one person, because it doesn't really make sense. It's like, imagine me and you were like tag team champions, and then all of a sudden something happened to you, and then Vash came in there. It's like, you know what? I'll be your partner. So it's like me and Vash just went along with it, and then you came back at the Royal Rumble. If you were in that position where you saw me and Vash in the Royal Rumble, and we were obviously competing to get a title shot at WrestleMania, would you go after one of us or would you go after both of us? Because you would think on the top of your head, just based on the sort of like, just based on like how not Jade, and how like Naomi and Bianca is acting on television, you would think, shouldn't both of them be worried about me? We're known as the Big Three.
Yeah.
We're friends and all of that. Like, what would you like do in that equation if you saw me and Vash in the Rumble? I would assume you would probably go after both of them. Yeah, just like
We'll
throw
get both of you.
Yeah, it's like throw both of that. That's why I'm predicting tomorrow. It's like you're gonna see Jade come back, Bianca and Naomi are gonna get all excited, and then Jade's gonna throw both of them over the top rope. That's why I'm not really buying into this whole rumor of Rhea and Bianca happening at Mania, because it's like, why are you gonna put Bianca in a title match against Rhea I mean, first off, we're not against that, but it's like, why would you
Yeah.
put her in a storyline with Rhea Ripley when she has this ongoing storyline with Jade right now? And the whole point of Jade and
Yeah.
Bianca getting together to begin with is to eventually lead to a match between Jade and Bianca. They teased it at last year's They teased it at last year's Royal Rumble, and we all knew the end goal of this whole entire relationship between the both of them. So why is Bianca just going to walk off, deal with Rhea, and then just leave that to Naomi? It doesn't make any sense to me. And you can't really prolong that, because it's like, I mean, as good as Naomi is, I don't know if I could really see Naomi versus Jade at WrestleMania just being in a one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like that's what I'm expecting. They see like super confident about, oh, if you win the Rumble, either I win the Rumble or you win the Rumble, like whatever happens. It almost makes me think it's like, so we really don't give a fuck about Jade. It's kind of like you're moving past Jade. You got your replacement for your tag team, for your title, so you don't have to like vacate the thing like Nick Aldis was trying to do. You got Naomi there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like really kicking her to the curb, not even acknowledging her, not even getting any of these little updates throughout the show. We got that one update like a few weeks ago. We haven't had any leads yet.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since then, nothing. It's kind of like Jade doesn't exist.
Yeah. And I think that's all done in design. Like, and people can call that copium or whatever, but like, I do think it's by design. They're trying to make it seem like nobody cares about Jade, especially Bianca and Naomi, because one of them, if not both of them, planned it, to attack Jade and all that. Why? Well, I mean, I said it before on this show. Bianca and Naomi kind of have better chemistry as a tag team, So it's just like, I'm going to get rid of the dead weight so we can actually have some banger matches and actually, compete and all that and do some good things. And then Jade's going to come back and be like, forget you both. I'm going to do my own thing and like eliminate them both from the Rumble and then possibly cost them the tag titles and then, beat their booties at WrestleMania too, like, and start kind of solidifying herself as the singles star. Because, like, I mean that's the end goal, is to make Jade the star that she can be.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, and I mean that kind of starts with this match, and it kind of starts with like Liv and Raquel, and I mean, again, take any dirt sheet news you hear with a grain of salt, but like there was a report that came out saying that they were going to be pushing Liv and Raquel in the tag division. So it's like, all right, do that, cool, neat, until you lose it to Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know some people. I know some people were coming into this match tonight thinking that Liv was gonna go over, but it didn't really make any sense because Naomi got pinned on Monday this week.
No.
So it's like I feel like they'll probably prolong this, but in the process, they're obviously dealing with Liv and Raquel right now when it comes to this feud, and Jade would probably factor into the end result of it, which to me. It doesn't make sense for her to come back as a heel. I know a lot of people were saying to me when I talked to the people about wrestling, saying, "Oh, she might come back as a heel to take out her revenge on Jade and Bianca," and I'm like, "So Randy Orton's gonna come back as a heel to take out his revenge on Kevin Owens? Oh, just because he costs him a match, he's gonna turn heel? He's gonna get all vicious, hit him with a punt kick? You're gonna have all these different kinds of people coming back to reignite feuds." To just turn heel. So it's kind of like this girl got laid out by either one of them or both of them because they thought that she was holding them down. So it's kind of like, why would she come back as a heel? That doesn't make any sense. That's like you're friends with a kid and then you kick him to the curb because you think he's a loser, and then you expect that person to be okay with it until they come back and it bites you in the ass. So I don't see her coming back as a heel, so I'm honestly very curious to see. It's like, I'm really curious how this is going to be. It's like, are Bianca and Naomi going to turn heel at the same time, or what's going on here?
Yeah. It could be like one of those revealed stories where it's like, okay, maybe it could be a thing where like Jade comes into the Rumble, and all three of them start battering people and all that, and everything seems fine, cool, and dandy, and then Jade like eliminates Naomi, and like you get like this kind of shocked face from Bianca from it, and Naomi might be a little peeved on the outside, and like you just have Jade kind of maybe slowly turn around, and then they kind of start having an argument, and then Bianca gets thrown at, or like they both eliminate each other from the Rumble and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I can
Like
see
it
that.
could be something like that where it's like, okay, it's not like a sudden thing. Well, it is kind of a sudden thing, but it's like, oh, so I guess they were both in cahoots, and then like we get the story of it, or like the promos of it the next week on like SmackDown or something, where it's like, oh yeah, we totally did it, or we totally planned it like this, so it could always go down that route too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but we'll come to our women's tag team division here when they start doing
Yeah,
a little bit more, and when they start doing a little bit
yeah.
more defenses and all that. Moving right along, we had a premiere on SmackDown, or at least a re-premiere, if you will, because The Miz is back on SmackDown, and he was talking shit about Andrade in the back with Nick Aldis, and of course we're doing the classic cartoon thing of, oh, let me talk shit about this person, say I'm gonna deck him in the schnoz, and then realize, oh, and audibly say, they're standing right behind me, aren't they? And of course, Andrade just standing right behind the Miz, being like, you wanna repeat that? You wanna say that? And they end up having a match because Miz doesn't know how to shut his mouth up.
No, he never does.
And you know what? Again, uh, people were cooking tonight. Like even commentary was just like, "Oh, Miz pulled out a head scissor. Nani the fuck? When did he pull that? When did he get that in his arsenal? Okay, all right, Miz, let's keep going." But like, yeah, I thought they had a great match, and I love how this was won too by that spinning elbow of Andrade's. Because like, and I said this to like in a response tweet to somebody, I was just like, I like when matches are won by signature moves like this,
Yes.
because like it keeps your matches unpredictable. It's like Sammy winning a match with a damn blue thunder bomb of all things. Like, yes, make some moves be more have more finality to them, I guess. So like with Andrade's back elbow, like I think he did use that as a finisher for a time, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did use it as a
Yeah.
finisher, which is why I'm not really against, like a lot of people are saying, well, he should use a haluva kick to set up the Blue Thunder Bomb and use it as a finisher, because I wouldn't have any issues with
Nah.
that, because whenever Sammy does the Blue Thunder Bomb, it looks so awesome. Like the way that he executes it. Or he could, I mean, they never said you can't have two finishers. John Cena didn't always finish off people with the Attitude Adjustment. He had the STF. And then you
Hmm.
got other people.
His little punch.
Yeah, you got like his little punch too, and then you also have like well, you got like Undertaker, where he has like the chokeslam, the Tombstone Pile Driver, the Last Ride. So it's like you
Hmm.
can't say that you only got one move to finish him off. I mean, even when you create a character in 2K, you got like two finishers, signature moves. I mean, I always make sure I
Yep.
have like a standard finisher, and then I have a submission move, because I like mixing it up. Where it's like, oh
Hmm.
shit, if you don't get him in that finisher, he has a deadly submission. So it's like I
Yeah.
like how he was able to, use that back elbow to take out Miz and win the match, because
Hmm.
realistically, and I know Jordan Grace does this as well. That's also a move in her arsenal. That realistically, that makes sense if you want to take somebody out with a move
Yeah.
like that, because that's
Yeah.
like hitting you in the back of your head, and you would think in your head, like, oh yeah, you're getting taken out at that exact moment. It's almost like you're pretty
Hmm.
much getting like that light switch goes out.
Oh yeah. No, Miz got knocked out enough that it looked like he lost a tooth. Which if he lost a tooth, Miz, I think there's a dentist over at another company that would probably gladly take care of that tooth for you. You know,
Mhm.
she just needs to leave that other company for someplace better with greener pastures and all that. But that's neither here nor there with all that. Again, like Miz was cooking and all that, and commentary did mention the Wyatt Six at one point, so we might be getting them back too. Which I guess apparently one of them's injured or something, which is why they haven't been featured lately.
Mhm.
So that's interesting. Why I get it. You want to have the whole group as
Yeah.
the presentation and all that, but like I feel like you could still do like some vignettes or something like in the back, or something to work around an injury or something. But
Yeah.
I I guess they didn't really have anything prepared or ready or written or anything. Which okay, fine if you're gonna do that, but I don't know. I just miss my little attraction. That's all.
Yeah.
Mm. But yeah, I mean, this was just a way to kind of get Miz on SmackDown, be like, oh, here comes his little debut and all that, and somebody for Andrade to kind of cook with too tonight. And yeah, I'm always surprised when Miz pulls out something new. I
Mhm.
mean, some people will be like, oh, it's just a head scissor. He's not that impressive. It's just like, okay, yeah, but it's also the Miz doing that. Like Miz doesn't do flippy
No.
moves like that all the time.
I'm also surprised. I mean, I guess they're slowly building to it, but I honestly thought at this entrance with Andrade, he was gonna
Hmm.
reveal Zelina, but I guess they're gonna wait on that a little bit,
Yeah,
which I guess is
I
fine. You
guess
don't even
so.
really need to rush it right away.
Nah, they can take their
Yeah.
time to kind of get that reunion in and all that. I mean, whoever Andrade ends up actually feuding with here soon, maybe it's like we should team up, Zelina. I need your help. I need your guidance through all that. So yeah, I'm glad we're not hot shotting that and all that. But yeah, not much more to say other than hey, good, decent match between the two. So we're going to move on to our last little segment here that I like to call our quick fire segments. So this is just a few things. It could be just like some vignettes that go on, or some quick backstage promos and all that. And it's funny enough. It's funny enough how I look at our quick fire segments this week or for this episode, and they kind of tie in together with each other. So we had another Charlotte Flair video package, and again, just hyping up her return and basically bigging herself up, being like, yeah, those stories you hear about me being selfish, yeah, they're true. Yeah, I am selfish because I know what I am. I know who I am. I am on top. I am the best. I am the cream of the crop. Like, I am Charlotte Flair. Not only in name, but in reality and in the ring and just everything I do, I am on top, you know? So it's kind of just hyping her up to be a potential winner of the Royal Rumble. Again, I say potential, but, we can either talk about that when and if she wins, or rant about that when and if she wins. So yeah, what'd you think of the video package? I guess because this was a lot different than what we got last week.
I mean, again, it's really just building up Charlotte Flair's return, and it's just her
Hmm.
doing her little monologue to really build up that big return. So to me, at least to me, it just felt like the exact same video package we've been getting, just a few extra little crumbs being put into there. But I mean, they're making it plain as day that Charlotte Flair is going up against Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania, which we
Yeah.
don't have any issues with. We already spoke about that on the channel. We have no issues with that. But I'm hoping this isn't I already alluded to the guys. I'm hoping I don't have to rant tomorrow. And there's a part of me where it feels like that might come out, but I'm really hoping that it doesn't. But I just to give you a little snippet. Um,
Yeah.
I, I get the whole thing about the whole vignettes building up Charlotte's return because Charlotte is a big get when it comes to adding another big name to the women's division. But my only issue with this and I'm hoping it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, we're building her just because she's coming back, and it's not going to lead into anything now. But there's been reports
Mhm.
about her coming back with this top girl gimmick, and it doesn't really make sense for me to really see her come back, win the Rumble, and then immediately go after Tiffany. I feel like if you really want to prove that you're this top girl, even though you already are, we already know that. I just feel like if you really want to prove that you're this top girl, you would come back with a new division of women that you haven't come in contact with, and then you lose the Rumble, and then that really starts fueling the fire where it's like, okay, I really got to prove why I'm on top again. Like, it can't just be like an easy get where I win the Rumble and I get my Mania program with Tiffany straight off the bat. Like, I actually have to
Mhm.
prove why I'm in that spot, and I feel like that adds more to the heel character, because saying that you're top girl gimmick, that just screams heel to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, it could easily be one of those things where her and Tiffany could have that be the whole center around their program of like being a top girl. You even saw stuff like that from Tiffany today. The way that she was
Mhm.
talking to Nia, the way that she was talking to Candice. You could easily throw Charlotte in there, talk about all her accolades and everything along the lines of that. But obviously, I said it's a little snippet. Trust me, you'll see the full Hulk tomorrow if something happens. But it's like
Oh
that.
yeah.
That's why I'm not like completely sold on like Charlotte Flair winning the Rumble. Is it possible? Yes. Is she one of the favorites to come out of the match to win? Sure. I mean, I can't lie and say she's not. Could it very well happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
just I just feel like the way that they presented Tiffany tonight, and Alyssa even mentioned it in our Discord server, like the way that Tiffany was presented, where she kind of looked weak in that little program with Candice and Nia. And like, regardless if it's like Nia Jax or not, I mean, you would
Mhm.
expect your champion to come out there, cut a little promo, and then move on to the next segment so she can just sit and watch the women's rumble to see who she's gonna face at Mania between Tiffany and Rhea Ripley. But it just seems like Tiffany's not done with Nia Jax. And even Nia
Yeah.
Jax alluded to it when she was on Raw a little bit ago when Bayley was making all those comments and stuff. So this almost makes me feel like we really need to tie all those loose ends between Nia and Candice when it comes to like the whole Tiffany situation that happened before we can move
Mhm.
on to Charlotte. So I feel like you could do this whole Nia and Candice thing with Tiffany in the meantime, and then once Charlotte qualifies and she wins the chamber, then you can move on to that. Sure, you can have a
Yeah.
little interaction between them here or there, but I just feel like, why is this thrown in here if you're not going to do anything with it? Like, it doesn't make sense to me in the slightest if you have Charlotte win tomorrow, and then you have this little thing going on between Tiffany and Nia right now. I just don't see
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, because like, well, I mean, it's what was going on with like some of these other feuds, like with the whole Damian Priest and Finn Balor thing. It's like, okay, they're not done yet, but like they're not really interacting with each other and all that. So it's like, okay, well, we got to finish the feud because one of them's going to SmackDown and all that. Where, like, yeah, with this, it's just like, okay, well, why couldn't we try to start finishing this off this week? Like, yeah, we're doing the Rumble build and all that, but like, we could have built up to like maybe the title defense being tonight with Tiffany and Nia. Like, that way we could have at least gotten
Yeah.
that done
Sorry I have
and
to
over
keep
with.
getting up.
No, you're good. You're all good.
Yeah.
We're having a good conversation and all that, so it's still all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, Tiffany came out to the ring to basically cut a promo and be like, "I'm the champion. Royal Rumble's tomorrow." Blah blah blah. And with Candice coming out saying, "Oh, you're just jealous." Duh, duh, duh. And Tiffany has some good. I almost said Conquerors hockey. She hasn't unlocked her Conquerors hockey yet, but she
Mm-mm.
has some good observation hockey because she was able to know that Jax was behind her and move out of the way so that way Nia can just destroy Candice and all that. But yeah, I mean Nia again, she's just too much of a wall right now for Tiffany to really overcome. But I mean, yeah, like again, we could have just had the match tonight, you know, just to finish it off, so that way Tiffany can focus on Mania coming up because like it has me nervous what's about to happen, like with reports coming out and like however the Rumble ends tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
if the Rumble ends with Charlotte losing, I do have a theory where it might go when it comes to like her and Tiffany for Mania, but I don't want to say it yet
We're
because I
gonna
don't
save it
want to
for
jinx
tomorrow.
myself with it. Probably because it's either
Yeah.
going to be a rant or it's going to be a
Yeah.
theory.
That means me and you are gonna like
It's-
me and you might end up doing some fusion dance tomorrow. To be honest.
we might, because that's the other thing. Like, I do like Charlotte. I love
So do
Charlotte
I.
a lot. It's just,
So do I.
it's just, there's certain things that just shouldn't happen at right now. But you know what, that was basically SmackDown. That was our last SmackDown before the Royal Rumble, and again, I thought this was a really good SmackDown. It was stacked with, some good action, some good promo works and all that stuff, but like it did what it needed to do, because we did a lot of the bulk work, on Raw, really. I mean, when you look back and think about it, a lot of the bulk came from Raw this past week.
That's
Where
true.
SmackDown, gave us a little bit more of like our go home feel and like our almost like our pre-show kind of thing. And like, you remember, just a couple years ago how we got matches on the pre-show and all that stuff. Like, that's what SmackDown's become before these PLEs, and tonight was no different. Just, getting some of these weekly programs either, well, no weekly program really ended tonight either, because we're continuing on with the mission stuff and all that. But like, yeah, just SmackDown was fine overall tonight. Well, what do you think of SmackDown overall?
I thought SmackDown was fine. It did what it needed to do. I mean, the main highlights were there when it came to like the CM Punk and Kevin Owens
Hmm.
thing. That's what really got a rise out of me tonight. I think that might have been like the big highlight for me because I wasn't really expecting to see it happen. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much what stuck with me throughout SmackDown. And it was
Mm.
easier for me to digest the program because I was very curious. Like, oh, we're gonna see Punk backstage. Is he gonna run into somebody back there? Like, what's going on? Like
Mm.
that's something that like definitely caught my interest. And then
Oh, say.
obviously, whatever was going on with Jacob Fatu, because I feel like now heading into SmackDown, I'm mainly curious to see like what's going on with Jacob Fatu, what's going on with
Mm.
Cody and KO, and obviously the women's division when it comes to whatever Tiffany Stratton's doing, and obviously eventually whenever Charlotte gets back, that's going to be very interesting to see how things evolve from
Yeah.
there. But yeah, I thought it was a fine show. It did what it needed to do, and
Hmm.
I mean, finally, it's February 1st. We're gonna have our big Rumble show later on tonight, and
Yep.
I'm hoping it's going to be a overall fun conversation, which it normally is. But
Oh yeah.
I'm just hoping for the best because I don't want to come on here and rant, just like you probably don't want to
I don't
either.
know. No.
But it's kind of hard to really fight that feeling sometimes when you really want to share
Hmm.
your thoughts on something. So I'm really hoping for the best that it doesn't end that way. But if it happens, I mean, your guys are in for a treat tomorrow. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think either way, everybody's in for a
oh yeah, they're in
treat.
for a
Whether it's
treat.
gonna be
Yeah,
good, bad, like it's gonna be a
yeah,
fun time tomorrow night.
yeah.
And yeah, as Drop alluded to, we are gonna have a bunch of conversations and a bunch of content coming out tomorrow as well. When it comes to Rumble, so like around 5:30, 5:45 time over on the Twitch machine, me and Vash are gonna be live reacting to the Rumble. That's the plan as of now, unless some sort of mechanical issues happen on either end. But we do plan on reacting throughout the night to the Rumble matches, to the tag team match, to the WWE title match. So join us over on Twitch. That link is in our description below. And then, as always, after the PLEs, we'll be here live on YouTube to talk about it and just kind of process everything that's happened from last night, because there's going to be a lot that's happening just even within the Rumble matches themselves. And also, if you guys want to follow us on any social media platforms, we do have all of our handles right there at the bottom of the screen. They're all right there. You got MOMG Studio, you got Drop This Box, you got Legend of Vash, you got Watkins MW, and of course, Weebs of the Ring. Those are all of our handles on things like Twitter, Instagram, whatever have you, Blue Sky, all those wonderful stuff. So, yeah, we're just going to take some time right now to thank you for taking time out of your day and evening to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Again, if you have anything you want to talk to us about and you enjoyed what we had to talk about, be sure to hit the subscribe button and all that stuff. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your cat, tell your dog, tell them all to check out Weebs of the Ring. And again, like I said, there's all those links down in the description below. There's the handles right there on your screen. Also use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring so that way we can check out how the conversation's going and see what everybody's talking about in the greater world of the wrestling sphere. And yeah, again, great show as always, everybody. We do appreciate your feedback because, hey, we like to grow as much as possible, and we can only do that if you guys tune in and let us know what's up. Weebs of the Ring is presented by MOMG Studio. Thanks to our production team for all of the hard work that they put in every single time we go live on this platform. And just remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed during the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you for the Rumble.
See you guys.